Hello, friends. This is Scott, and I think I started out 2022 with a very similar scene from a video. It's January 1st, and this is the usual way that we celebrate is we get dumped on with quite a bit of snow. And Utah's been in a drought for many years, but it seems like the snow totals are picking up. We've had storms pretty consistently over the last 3 or 4 weeks, with more on the way, and we have a snow warning till I think tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. I believe. So there's a good 10 inches of snow here, probably. But then as we were out cleaning this all up, I think we got a couple more inches, and it's still snowing. So just a steady snow, nothing crazy, but very wet snow, very heavy snow. So this is full of moisture, which we need. So we're pretty happy about getting it. But then looking at it, it's like But the plows have been through one pass, and all they do is bury us in our driveway. So we've got a lot of work to do, and don't want to do it too quick because the plow will just come back by and bury us again. But this is how the day started on New Year's Day, and this is what we had to do today, was to take care of some of this and get it cleaned up. Well, with all the cars we have in the driveway, it's kind of a little bit difficult to move snow. You basically shovel, and then you unbury the cars, and then you shovel the same spots where you just reburied them from the snow on the cars, and just back and forth. But you can see the snow's collecting again, and it isn't coming down. There's my son. Amazing. A shot of him actually doing something. Anyway, sidebar. But this is what today looked like, with more on the way, and it'll look like the same thing tomorrow morning, and we'll be doing this all again probably. But we need the snow, and we're excited to have it, but all these storms have been kind of timed and paced every few days, so I've been having a hard time getting down to the hobby farm. Here, let's take a look at the backyard, have a little bit of a backyard tour. And starting the new year, it's always good to kind of see where I ended up and to see what I've got to look forward to also for this year. But I feel really good looking back at 2022. I got a lot accomplished, but what I didn't get accomplished was really putting my own home garden to bed before the snows hit. Now, believe it or not, yesterday it was raining and there was not any snow on the ground. So the leaves, there's lots of leaves, lots of plants I need to pull up. And I was lazy yesterday, and it was wet and rainy, and I just didn't feel like going out and, raking up a bunch of wet leaves. Well, I think I missed my opportunity. It may be spring before I get to see the unsnow-covered ground. But again, this snow is very heavy, and we did have one tree limb snap, and it was snapped up against the chicken coop. So I threw the sticks kind of to the side. As you can see how much snow we had. The chickens in there enjoying the pumpkin. I want to show you something about that pumpkin that's a little different than any other pumpkin I've ever seen. But that's the tree. It doesn't look very big. It broke off in the weight of the snow. And it did hit my fence over here and did kind of rip it apart a little bit. So I've got to do a little bit of repair, but nothing a zip tie won't fix. So scanning around. And you're going to start seeing the messy part of the yard that I've just not gotten around to this year. And it's okay. I'll get to it when I get to it. But I haven't even pulled the sunflowers out. I like to leave them so that the small birds have some seed to eat. But I think these are all fully eaten, and I just need to get rid of them. Now here's the pond, and the bamboo, as you see, is weighted way down and all laying on the pond. I just have bubblers going in the pond, and didn't get a chance to get many of the leaves out of the pond that fell in there this year. I was wondering about the fish, but I've not seen any. I had 21, 22 fish at the end of the season, and I've not found any dead ones. And I did see them a couple days ago, so they are still alive. The pond water looks a little brown, but you see all the snow on the roof. There's about a foot there, it looks like. But that's pretty ugly, brown-looking pond, but the fish are hanging in there. And there's the new bed I made with kind of the landscape brick wall. And I've got one last Brussels sprouts in there, and that's all I've been doing is giving it to the chickens for chicken feed. So I've got one more left to throw in the pen when they need a little bit of green food. And I didn't even get my bean trellis torn down or my tomato cages or my potato bins picked up either. But as you see, the espalier apple trees are fully covered in snow, and you do see the nice big espalier at the end along the fence there. The prune job that I did kind of late summer held up. And we take a little stroll up the side yard, and again, people see a lot more snow, especially what we've gotten back east when they're getting 4, 5, 6 feet. We've not got that here, but we've had several feet, just in various storms. But this is probably the most snow that we've had this year, or I should say this year, new year, but even, this winter, I should say. And we got another few inches coming, so it's going to be a nice, healthy storm, and the mountains are getting pounded. So hopefully the drought will take a little dent out of it this year. But there's my compost bin, and it's usually full of leaves and insulated. The redworms have much more insulation, but they don't this year because I didn't get to the leaves. There's the grapes that I've got to do some pruning and tie some more vines to the trellis, but they're doing good. I'll have a good crop this year of grapes. And those are the blackberries, the little bramble, and they filled in nicely, so they did well. And as we scan back around, going back toward the patios area, all of my favorite patios that I've built over the years, I guess looking down at the corner of the bigger side of the garden with the espalier, that's a little bit better look at the espaliered apple. Again, that one produced a bunch of apples the year before last, but nothing this year, or last year. And strolling through the yard, you see all the leaves that are piled up that I've not gotten to in my little fire pit area that I like to enjoy on days like this, but I didn't keep it clean. So I've got to get out here and get all that snow removed so I can enjoy the patio. Now, a couple of weeks ago, this video was taken, and this is kind of some interesting ice formations coming up from the bubblers in the pond. Again, this isn't from before this storm. This is maybe 2 weeks ago. Very interesting, though. Again, they're hollow, and the air is bubbling up, and the moisture's collecting and making these tubes. So it's kind of interesting. You might hear some fireworks in the background. People are still shooting off fireworks as I'm narrating this video in the evening of 1st of January. Now, I want to show you an interesting sight here. Now, these pumpkins were from Halloween, and they were inside, outside, frozen, unfrozen. But I've never seen a pumpkin busted open look like a spaghetti squash. And it wasn't a cross-pollination thing. It's just an old pumpkin that's going through its rotting stages, I guess. But it looks like, a whole thing of spaghetti. So chickens, don't quite know what to do with new food sometimes. So I always throw scratch in it, and they get to it, and they love the noodles once they start getting used to them. But they're doing well. They only have 6 of them. But here's a hairy woodpecker we don't see. It's kind of a rare woodpecker for this area. It's got some red on the back of its head, but got a few shots of it here. We're just trying to show you what it looks like. It's a small little woodpecker. It was attracted by the seed feeder that I put up here, and originally started poking the glass. It didn't quite know how to get to the seed, but the seed's in the tray, obviously. But it's a cute little woodpecker, and not something we see every day. But it's kind of nice, the wildlife, and having the deck so high and the bird feeders up here, we get to have a kind of a special view of birds and their kind of the way they act naturally, which we normally don't see if they're way up in the trees. But here's after the snowstorm, and the feeders were full. But again, spaghetti, pumpkin, kind of interesting. And the chickens did enjoy it, and they did hollow them out. So it's always good to give them a little something extra. But winter is here. Again, the storms keep rolling in every few days, and I haven't been able to get down to the hobby farm it's been near a week, so I've got to get down there and check on my cats. I left with plenty of food and water, but got a lot more work to do, so I need to get down there and get busy. So hopefully I can get down there this week. Trying to time the storms. There's a couple days it looks like it's just cloudy, not snowing, but that'll be in a couple days, so we'll see how that goes. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and had a good 2022, but I'm looking forward to with new adventures in 2023.